This video is a supplemental video to the one I released earlier about the end of chapter 3. In particular, I want to talk more about files. So one of the key concepts here is the idea of streams in C++. So streams are a really basic idea in C++, and we're going to use these streams for input and output operations, okay? So there's going to be a consistent interface, whether we're writing to the screen, getting input from the keyboard, writing to a file, or getting information from a file, okay? We're going to break it down into input streams and output streams, okay? So what we've already covered before has been the CN and the COUT. So the CN is a standard input stream, and it's been defined already for us to be connected to the standard input, which is the keyboard. Cout is a standard output. It goes to the screen by default, okay? We then have the file stream. So there are the file stream classes, the IF stream for input files, and the OF stream for output files, okay? And those we're going to use to create these sources and destinations for data, and we'll use the same extraction and insertion operators, the greater than and less than signs, in order to do this. Okay, so in some ways it's easier than it was in something like Python. Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple of examples on how we can use files just to give us some more ways to think about it. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my warp screen. Okay, this first one, I'm going to call it file ex 2 CPP. I don't know what happened to 1. Okay, so in this file, okay, the idea is we want to write 5 numbers to a text file called numbers.txt. Okay, and I'll go ahead and go out here and let me remove. I have one already, so there's not one there. Okay, so now if I do an LL for the numbers, you'll see there's nothing there. No such file. Okay, so I can go back into it. So I'm going to create a new file called numbers.txt. So in order to do this, to use CN and COUT, I have to include the IO stream. To use files, I have to include the F stream. And because I'm going to do some formatting, I have to include the IO manip, which we'll do that a lot. Okay. So in this case, unlike some of the examples that we did before and the ones in the book, we're not doing input and output. We're only doing output. Okay. So I'm going to declare an OF stream, an output stream to a file called out.data. Okay. So here are the parts with the file. We include the F stream. We declare a variable for the stream. So we're creating an output stream called out data. Now you can have more than one in the same file if you've ever needed to, but this one we don't. And then I've got a doubled called num because I'm just going to create some numbers and I'm going to output. Okay. We then, after we've declared that, we have to open a file to give a place for us to send things to. Okay, it's going to be the destination in this case. So that's the out data, which is our OF stream dot open, and then in parentheses and in quotes, the name of the file, numbers.txt. Again, assuming it's in the same directory as my file, we could do different things with directory structures, but we're going to keep it simple. Okay. So we're then going to write the data to the file. And this is something I didn't mention in the other video, but the book does mention. And we'll talk about how to change this. But for right now, if we write to this numbers.txt file, if there's an existing file, it will be erased. Okay. It creates a new file every time. There's a way around that we'll talk about in a second. Okay. So now I've got my file called numbers.txt. It's at the end of this stream. It's the destination. So what am I going to send on it? Okay, so I'm going to use the insertion operator, which is 2 less than symbols here, to this data file. I'm going to send it. I'm going to go ahead and put in the fixed. I'm going to put in the set precision 2. So as I'm sending data to the file, this is what it's going to, this is the format it's going to take. Okay. And I should probably, and then I'm putting a new line character there on the data. I probably don't want that new line character, as a matter of fact, because I think that's going to cause trouble later. Okay, so I'm not putting any headers. I'm just putting the data right away. So I'm going to do that. Okay, and then I'm simply going through and putting in a number. Let's go ahead and put some decimal places, so we'll see if our set precision is working. And then I'm outputting with the insertion operator the number I just entered in a new line, on and on. I just use the same number, cut and paste, trying to be quick. Okay. I'm now closing the file and we're done. That's it. Okay. Now, one thing I didn't do that the book did that I probably should, you probably need a C out in here, something, processing data. If not, your program will do nothing. There'll be no output at all. Okay. So if I run that, and I want to run the file example2.cpp, again, I'm doing the lazy way you don't want to do, /a.out. Okay. Says it's processing data. Now we're done. Okay. Now, if I look, I can use the more to look at the numbers.txt, and you can see that in the first one, the set precision rounded that number up to 2 places, and the rest were 2 anyway. So we can assume that took care of it. Okay. That file's out there. Okay. Let's look at another example. This is going to be the file 3 here. Okay. And what this one's going to do for us, how is this any different? Is it any different? Did I overwrite my file? It's possible. This looks exactly like, oh no, there's different. I didn't change my header. So you want to change your comments. Okay. This will append to an existing file without deleting. Okay. So all we do differently, and I should have made this clearer too. This will not. That's what confused me. I thought I'd overwritten it myself. Okay, so we'll just say this appends data to the file. Okay. And all we do, the only difference in this program is that we add in the open statement a comma, iOS, : app for append. That's it. That's all we do. Okay. We're not including anything different. We're not doing anything else at all. So you have to decide on the program, does it make sense? Are you gathering data on an ongoing basis where you're going to keep adding to the file, or should it be new every time? Okay. And that's all that does. Other than that, it's the same data that we had before, same numbers. And I guess I should put something different in here just so we show that it is putting it differently, although there'll be more numbers. Okay. So again, we have our file now looks like that. Okay. So now if I run the file ex3 or compile that and run it. Okay. And now look at numbers.txt. You see that it's added these new numbers. Okay. I now have 10 numbers instead of 5 because it didn't erase it. It appended it to the file. Okay. So that all makes sense. That's good stuff, right? Okay. So the last thing I wanted to look at is going to be ex4 because my file names are so creative. Okay, so this one is going to read in numbers from the text file. Okay, and it's okay to have these in separate programs. Sometimes you want to do that. So again, I'm including my IO stream, my F stream. I'm not sure that I need the IO manip this time, but it doesn't hurt to have it. Okay. So now when I'm declaring the variables, instead of the OF stream variable, I'm going to create an IF stream variable called indata. And the book uses indata and outdata. Those are not special. You can call them whatever you want. Okay. But that just makes it clear what they are. But you can call them, the names are not important at all. Okay. I'm going to do the same open, indata.open on the name of the file. Okay. The now file is open to be read. Okay. And this is the wrong file. That's so strange. Oh, no, it's not. Good Lord. I'm having a day. It's been a long day. I'm doing 2 things here, and I didn't change my comment. See how much that's confusing me. I have to save the comment because I'm doing 2 things. Okay. What I'm really doing here, I'm reading from file and I'm writing to the screen. That's what's confusing me. So on my indata, okay, I have my extraction operator, the greater than signs, to the variable num. So the first thing there, it's going to put it out there. Okay. Then we're going to come out and just print that out on the screen with a new line character. Okay. And I'm not using set precision because I did that when I wrote to the file, so I don't need to do it now. And I'm just doing 5 here. There are more than that in the file, but I'm just going to do 5. And I'm just picking off those 5 numbers, printing them out one at a time. Okay. Make sure you always close your data file at the end. Okay. So now let me go through and compile this one Again, you should do the -O. I'm being lazy. And you see that it picks those first 5 out of the file. Okay. So there's still more in the file. I just picked out the first ones. Okay. So that's the idea. So when we're using the file streams, they work just like the input output streams for the screen and the keyboard with the same insertion and extraction operators. Okay. But we have to include the F stream. We have to declare either an IF or an OF stream variable, which is another name for that's a file handle. We then have to open up a file to attach to that file handle. We then read from or write to it, depending on which kind of file it is. And then we close the file at the end. Okay. And we'll be working on another example of this in class, but I just wanted to get you a little more information about it.